Welcome to our special coverage of the Noor Salman trial here on clickorlando.com. I'm Julie Broughton. The jury selection process is getting close to an end. We now have 57 potential jurors in the pool. Joining us now is News 6's Nadine Yanis. She will be in the courtroom for this trial. She joins us now live from the federal courthouse in Orlando. And Nadine, Salman's family is there, and I understand you actually spoke to some of them.
We did. So they are here from California, Julie, and they told me that they would not be here if they did not believe that Noor Salman was innocent. It's the first time that we've seen him here during the jury selection process, wanting to sit in as jury selection wraps up today inside the courtroom. But outside of the courtroom, there's some movement in this trial as well. Over the weekend, the prosecution filed a new motion just 2 days before opening statements, fighting to keep evidence from the night of the Pulse attack in.
Salman's defense attorney, who's taken the lead during jury selection, walked into court this morning saying she's not surprised the government is still fighting to get evidence from the Pulse attack in just 2 days before opening statements. It came down in this motion filed yesterday afternoon. The government's prosecution hoping to get 2 911 calls from victims who were shot into the trial. They're also hoping to admit a 90-minute audio recording taken on a victim's cell phone who was held hostage in the bathroom. On it are conversations Mateen had with victims trying to take away their cell phones and play acting like other people were involved in the attack when FBI said it was all just a one-sided conversation. The transcripts show, the government says, Mateen's continued campaign of terror. However, back in February, the defense said these calls and recordings shouldn't be played in front of a jury. In a hearing, Salman's other defense attorney, Charles Swift, said Mateen isn't the one on trial here. The judge has not ruled on this motion yet. He first wants to seat a jury. And today, for the final day of jury selection, Salman's family from California wanted to be here.
We know she's innocent, and there's nothing changed on us, because if we knew something was she's involved in any, we won't be here.
And so there's a group of about 7 to 10 of Salman's relatives who are now here from California and Florida. It is worth mentioning, though, her mother is still taking care of Salman's son, and they are still in California. They are not here for the trial. So, Julie, like you said, we have 57 jurors now in the jury pool. The judge needed to get at least 56. The goal now after lunch at 2 o'clock when court resumes is to get that number down to 12 jurors, the final 12 plus 6 alternates. Linda Moreno, Salman's attorney, says the defense will get 20 strikes and then the government will get 12 strikes. And by the end of today, Julie, we will know who is sitting on this high-profile case.
Nadine, thank you. Nadine Yanis reporting live from the federal courthouse. We will be checking in with you throughout the day. And joining us now is News 6 legal analyst Jason Johnson of the Lowndes Law Firm. Jason, thank you so much for joining us again today.
My pleasure.
So, as Nadine was saying, by the end of the day, we think we could be looking at a seated jury, 12 jurors and 6 alternates.
I think that's the expectation. We've whittled the list of 600 down to a list of 57. And now we'll go back into court this afternoon, and the judge will bring in the entire veneer, and questions will be asked. People will raise hands. They're trying to whittle this group down a little bit further to see if there are any other challenges for bias. And then, of course, each side has what are called peremptory challenges, which means they don't have to give a reason for striking a potential juror. They have unlimited challenges for cause. So if they still think that somebody is exhibiting bias, they can ask questions and then make arguments to the court to strike that juror for cause. But if they just don't like the way somebody looks, or there was something that gave them pause during the court's questioning of them that would make them say, we don't want them on the jury, they can issue what's called a peremptory challenge, and the court just then strikes them from the potential panel. There are a few limited exceptions to that. You can't strike somebody for racial reasons, for gender reasons, or for reasons based on sexual orientation. But outside of that, you can strike somebody because you don't like the color of their hair. Not to be flippant, but it's, you don't have to give a reason at all. And I think with the jury consultants that have been hired by both sides, I think both sides, as much as they know about this potential pool, they already have their list of who would be their preferred jurors, who would be their preferred alternates, and they probably have, you know, a list of 5 or 6 extras, because remember, the the folks that they want in can get struck by the other side as well.
Right. So, I mean, we've been going through this process for several days now. We started out with that pool of more than 600. How will what happens this afternoon differ from the process that we've seen so far?
Yeah, so what we've seen in the last week has really been an exclusionary process. Here's who really can't sit on this jury because they have either exhibited bias or they've got some hardship that wouldn't allow them to sit through a 3-week trial on the jury. This afternoon is really more about an inclusion process. Here's who we want on the jury. Each side is going to, by way of using peremptory challenges and challenges for cause, really try to get the people that they want on the jury. So they now have the list of the folks they want. Exclusionary previous to today, now it's really an inclusionary process.
And so those jury experts that you mentioned can help with that process?
Absolutely. I mean, these are professional people who are psychologists. There's a little bit of art and science to this process, but they've gone through all of the potential jurors' social media posts, anything that's been made public. At least they've probably done criminal background checks. They've done public records checks. They know about as much as you can know about these potential jurors without actually having a personal relationship with them.
Right, so this is an extensive process, but by the end of the day, we should wrap at least this portion of it up. Now, Nadine was talking about late Sunday, the government filed a motion arguing to enter 911 calls made from inside Pulse. One of the defense attorneys says this was as expected. The judge hasn't ruled on this yet. What could this potentially mean for each side, though, depending how this goes?
Well, this comes out of the court's order on the defense's omnibus motion in limine. A motion in limine is a motion to have certain evidence excluded or suppressed from being introduced at the trial. Their omnibus motion sought to have both a number of items excluded and then the court to say, yes, these can be admitted. On the order on that motion, the judge invited the government to file a motion in limine with respect to some of these 911 transcripts. And the government, as the defense said, we expected this to happen. The government has filed this motion, and they're seeking to have transcripts from a number of 911 calls admitted into evidence. The judge asked the government to deal with two specific issues: relevance of these documents and also potential hearsay related to these documents. And so the government does that. I frankly expect after reading this that the judge is probably going to grant this motion and allow this evidence to be admitted. But, you know, I understand why the defense would want to keep it out. When you read the transcripts, especially of the victims who had their phones on and were recording some of these conversations, it's very emotional for folks who lived in Orlando during that period of time. And to hear how he was interacting with these people, saying, well, just crawl to me, you know, just come over here, throw me your phone. This is nothing personal. That's the one that really jumps out to me. He just killed 49 people, and he's telling them it's nothing personal.
Yeah, it's chilling when you look back at that, really.
Yes. And I understand why the defense would not want to have that heard, but I do think they're relevant for the purposes that the government is seeking to admit them. I expect that they will be admitted, but you never know.
Right. A lot to keep up with. And of course, court resumes today at 2 o'clock. And again, throughout the day today, that's when we are expecting to see that jury pool whittled down. Now, again, because this is a federal trial, no cameras or recording devices are allowed inside the courtroom. News 6 and ClickOrlando.com will have reporters at the trial each day. And we have a special page detailing everything that happens on ClickOrlando.com. Just look for that and the Noor Salman trial. And thank you so much, Jason, for joining us this afternoon. Join us tonight at 6:30 for another discussion. We'll be talking with investigator Mike DeForest and legal analyst Mark O'Mara as jury selection wraps up, and we will know who will be on this jury. You can watch it live right here on ClickOrlando.com. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Julie Broughton.